Hi, everyone. I'm Sheena Collum. I am the village president / mayor of the township of South Orange Village, and welcome to our session incorporating age-friendly into your master plan. So here we go. First, I start with talking about building the age-friendly coalition because it doesn't just fly into a master plan. For us in South Orange, we needed to first find a champion, which could be any senior advocate of senior services, building that community of support around that champion, start to host conversations. And the most important thing in South Orange was we created an advisory committee of senior citizens. That's what the picture is right there, just to get the ball rolling, where we had direct connection between government officials and senior citizens. And then, of course, what's the action plan? What are some of the small things that you want to be able to achieve? And keep building that political support, building those relationships with key stakeholders and decision makers. This is just an example of us having a massive senior citizen forum. It was one of the first ones that we hosted in South Orange to talk about all types of issues: citizen engagement, transportation, housing. For our first dialogue with our senior committee, there was well over 100 participants who came out, and it was hosted by the village. And we always find that having some light refreshments does the trick too, pulling in some more individuals. We had many small wins that derived mainly just from a senior citizen advisory committee, again, building up that initial support. First was pedestrian safety. We partnered with our senior group to put lawn signs all around the community, reminding people to stay and stop within the crosswalks. We expanded our senior citizen bus stops. We started addressing food insecurity amongst our senior population. You could see in the picture in the right-hand corner, or the bottom right-hand corner, we were creative. We created a game night to raise funds to be able to work with groups who would provide Meals on Wheels. We added a senior citizen discount card in order to drive senior economic activity into our business corridors, offered more cultural recreational activities, again, better communications and sharing volunteer opportunities to make sure that we had good balance on all of our advisory boards. And like I said, these are things that are low-hanging fruit, and they all stem from having a strong advisory board and some champions. Now, Fund, which I know is also supporting today's fair, was a game changer. South Orange and our partner municipality of Maplewood submitted in order to build up our age-friendly infrastructure. And as you can see from this, we were a finalist, and we ultimately received funding in order to create an actual action plan and really think about the long term of senior related issues, aging in place. And no longer was it about the low-hanging fruit, but it was about bigger town-wide issues in order to make this a destination to retain our existing senior citizens and also to attract seniors throughout New Jersey who wanted a place that was walkable, where they could age in place. So the initial grant funding provided two things. First, we were able to create a community action plan. And next, we were able to actually hire an age-friendly coordinator. It was a shared expense between South Orange and Maplewood, and obviously subsidized by the generosity of the Grata Fund. And this was the logo that we came up with. So if you go to soma2townsforallages.org, you could see a massive build out of a website, communication tools, newsletters, etc. We love the logo. We were also featured in the League of Municipalities after this accomplishment of building this momentum of, under the banner of No Place Like Home. I just included that because it was a really special and momentous time for our community to have the resources, the political support, and hundreds of seniors who are working hand in hand with us to try and meet our goal of becoming that destination. Now we get on to the master plan. The reason I started at that first point is that if you don't know who you're reaching out to and you can't engage people and you don't know who your target audience is, it's really hard to have robust engagement in the master plan. Our master plan had over 150 ambassadors to neighborhood groups, to community organizations. It broke down from 11 various neighborhoods where we had senior engagement, and then all of our advisory boards, committees, our Board of Education, Seton Hall University, and a special bucket related to our Senior Citizen Advisory Committee and SOMA 2 Towns for All Ages. We had their data and their information through the robust outreach of the website that I just mentioned, the newsletters that people subscribe to, the volunteer fairs where people had signed up and said, I'd like to be more involved, various social activities where we always tracked people who were coming to the activities and their email address or their phone number in case they were not email a whole lot, and the advisory boards who did outreach. That was the first stage of the master plan. And I would say there was no less than 300 active email addresses that we had of participants from the get-go. These were some highlights of what was incorporated into our master plan. The number one issue was housing. Housing by far. I didn't go into the demographics of South Orange, but here in our community, the average property tax bill is approaching $19,000 a year. Our average home value is roughly $600,000. We have a lot of seniors who have lived in their homes for 30 plus years and are looking for downsizing options, or they're looking for ways to augment their income in order to remain in place. We also want to be sensitive to seniors with disabilities, whether they're physical or developmental disabilities. So going through each one of these, first, affordable housing. South Orange is fulfilling all of its affordable housing obligations. In fact, we've already finished our third round. So in the past, I would say 3 years, we've built or are constructing, currently under construction, about 100 to 150 new units of affordable housing, specifically senior housing, which we have not been able to identify, but that is one of our action plan items, is that we are looking for independent living that is a 50 plus or 55 plus community, but the market has not been able to bear that out in our community yet. Adults with developmental disabilities, the picture to the bottom left-hand corner on the left side, that is a home sharing option. It's 27 units that is going to be shared between affordable units and adults with developmental disabilities. And we know through our partnerships with many of our nonprofits that a lot of these folks are also senior citizens. This particular project is 1 minute away from the heart of our downtown. So we're locating all of our housing close to transportation, where there's mobility, where there's shopping, there's dining. We have a performing arts center in our downtown. So the entire housing strategy revolves around mobility and people being able to walk to all of their destinations. Home sharing, we changed our codes to permit home sharing in an owner-occupied housing unit where they can have up to 4 boarders that live with them. And the Board of Trustees right now, literally, which is our governing body, it's called the Board of Trustees, on Monday introduced our first ordinance for accessory dwelling units. Our Senior Advisory Committee was heavily involved with writing this ordinance. And out of the master plan, so many people in our community were fully supportive of having ADUs as a way not only to increase housing supply, but specifically for seniors to be able to downsize. And when we heard from a lot of families too who are taking care of parents and older adults, is that they can still permit their independent living in an ADU while living in their own primary structure. So we definitely have a need for families to be able to take care of a mother, a father, grandparents, etc. So this has been widely supported so far, but we won't have a second reading for another 30 days, but I'm very confident that the board is moving in this direction. The next highlight was transportation, right? This is what we hear from our seniors all the time. If you can't get places, if you're reliant on a vehicle, you're not age friendly. So we converted our jitney service, which is a shuttle that goes to our train station for commuters. We have about 4,000 riders a day. We're the busiest train station on the Morris and Essex line. Is that we found a greater balance between using those for people getting to the train station and going to work, and balancing that out with senior activities, senior drop-off pickup at shopping destinations outside of our town. We like to go back and forth between South Orange and Maplewood, and we use those buses for courtesy trips where the seniors would like to go, and also especially on election day. Things of those nature is that we can quickly use our jitney shuttles and use them for senior purposes. And we actually received a grant for that from the Community Development Block Grants, which communities are eligible to apply for senior transportation. We've had a transportation summit. we've produced a transportation guide with additional training and education, so all of our seniors know about the various options. Even though we're known for our train station, we also have various buses. We have the shuttles, we have the senior shuttles, and we just wanted to make sure everybody knew what those options were. And sometimes it's just showing people how to use it the first time, and then they start taking advantage of it. Rutgers was great in consulting with us on transportation related matters and putting the guide together. So partnerships are everything. We had a go-go grandparent pilot. And then lastly, the mobility element of our master plan looked at holistically redesigning all of our streets that currently aren't a best practice in complete streets for people who have disabilities, for people who have mobility challenges, et cetera. So the bottom just kind of shows a little design of how we're trying to recreate all of our networks to be more age-friendly and sensitive to all users of all of our roadways. Recreation and our infrastructure was also a big thing. So I will say that the seniors have come out and advocated very hard for some of our really big investments. For us, we are redoing our Baird Community Center, which specifically has senior programming and an area for seniors with a balcony and a cafe. So that's kind of a rendering. It's going to be opening the first quarter of next year. And they were intimately involved also in the planning stages and what type of things that they would like to do. The one thing that we learned from our seniors who participated was they didn't want to be separate from other individuals in the community who were participating in arts or recreation. They wanted to be included. So they didn't want a separate senior center. They wanted senior activities, senior related things to do, but incorporated with the youth. What we found from all of our conversations is we don't want to be just age friendly, but intergenerational. So a lot of our seniors find overlap in classes and things that are happening with the youth in our community, and also just adults and families, et cetera. So this is an inclusive building that really takes into consideration senior programming and amenities that seniors would like. And of course, it is being built in a way or rehabilitated in a way where every floor has ADA accessibility for all the users. We also received a community development block grant money, and we also received a matching grant from the state of New Jersey under libraries. So we are redoing our library to the tune of $16 million. We find that our library, more than any facility, is the most heavily used by our senior citizens. That is where we have a lot of programming. That is where we have a lot of technology and classes about technology and things of that nature. So those are two main infrastructure projects that our seniors have been heavily involved with. In fact, many of our groups affiliated with these two buildings are led by seniors and active members of our senior advisory committee. And lastly, we acquired a new piece of property that is on the eastern portion of our town that used to house an Italian cultural center, which is being turned into a general community center. And that is the last kind of leg of culture that we're adding right now with our investments that our seniors are very excited about. And certainly last but not least is the social inclusion. When you think about your master plan, I'm sorry.
So sorry, Sheena. I just wanted to give you a notice that Althea said we have until 11:45. Unfortunately, here we have a bit tighter time, so just wanted to quickly.
This was the last slide.
Okay.
Social inclusion was a part of our master plan. Also, is making sure that people, not just the built environment, but everybody feels included, and we have intentional integration in everything that we do. So I included some pictures about all of our neighborhood associations. When they have block parties, we make sure that they are accessible. When we have volunteer fairs, things like that, we are always looking at our events through an age-friendly lens. I included that we created a classic card for seniors to use in our downtown when shopping, and they're also involved with public safety initiatives. This is Project Blue Angel, so that if anything were to occur in somebody's home, our first responders have direct access to be able to assist them if they cannot open their door. So that was the end of that, and I'm sorry we didn't have more dialogue. That went by so fast. I hope that was helpful, everyone.
Thank you, Sheena.
It was very good. Thank you. You said something we could use.
I sure hope so. I'm so sad that we have less than a minute, but my contact information is available in the materials that were put out. And if there's anything that you can learn or take away from South Orange, we are more than happy to help your communities in any way.
Thank you, Sheena.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.